Hello, scholars. I'm going to take you through the fourth transformation called dilations. So you can go ahead and, as you watch the video, copy down your notes. I'm going to do 2 examples and then you're going to do 2 on your own. So, first thing we need to remember is that we already studied 3 types of transformations. We had translations, which are like a slide, rotations, which are a turn, and reflections, which are like a flip. All 3 of those transformations are rigid motions. But a dilation is not a rigid motion. They do not have isometry because it changes the size or the shape of the figure. So it's either going to be an enlargement or a reduction. If it is an enlargement, you will notice that the k value, what we're multiplying each of our values by, will be greater than 1. Anytime we enlarge it, we'll obviously multiply it by a number bigger than 1. If it's a reduction, we're going to multiply it by a number between 0 and 1. Why? Because when we multiply something by a fraction or a decimal between 0 and 1, it's going to make it that number smaller, so it will reduce it. This is really easy rule to apply, so I'm going to go ahead and do example 1 with you, and you can go ahead and copy this down into your notes. So, first things first, it says find the vertices of the image of triangle ABC after a dilation by a scale factor of 2. When it says scale factor of 2, that means k equals 2. If it does not specify if it is a vertical or a horizontal scale factor, then you will multiply both x and y by 2. So our rule will be x comma y is going to turn into 2 times x, comma 2 times y. Make a note though that if it does say a vertical dilation, vertical means you're going to only multiply it by the y value. Why is it the y value? Because the y-axis runs vertically up and down. If it's a horizontal dilation, then obviously you know which axis runs horizontally. That's your x-axis. So you would only multiply the x value by that number. In this case, though, it doesn't specify, so we're going to multiply both. So I know most of you can already do this in your head. You're going to multiply the x value 2 times 2. The y value 1 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. Easy peasy. Next one. Multiply both of them by 2. 4 times 2 is 8. 6 times 2 is 12. C prime. Multiply the x and the y value by 2. 6 times 2 is 12. 4 times 2 is 8. Now we plot those points. Go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to silently go ahead and graph these points and check my work for accuracy. Make sure you're putting your primes on there. All right, so once we have our coordinate points plotted, we're going to connect them with a straight edge, making them as neat as possible. And we can clearly see that this image is an enlargement from the pre-image. All right, I'm going to skip down now to example 3. Example 3 says find the vertices of the image of quadrilateral ABCD after a dilation by a scale factor of 1/2. Immediately, red flag, I see a fraction or a decimal between 0 and 1, and I should think it's going to be a reduction. So k equals 1/2. That means I'm going to multiply my x and my y value by 1/2. So my rule will be xy turns into 1/2 x and 1/2 y. The way I say this in my head is half of 4 and half of 10. Half of 4 is 2. Half of 10 is 5. So my A prime is 2, 5. Do the same thing for B. Multiply them both by half. Half of 8 is 4. Half of 12 is 6. So you can see that this is being reduced, and it's going to be half the size in the end. So this rectangle is going to be half the size. 12 times 1/2 is 6. Half of 12 is 6. Half of 4 is 2. 8 times 1/2. Half of 8 is 4. And half of 2 is 1. Go ahead, silently plot those points. Make sure they're accurate. Check my work also. Now, in this case, it looks like when I connect these points, it is actually going to be the same size. No, just kidding. It's not going to be the same size at all. It's way smaller. It is the same shape, but not the same size. So automatically, not a rigid motion. So you can see that this is a reduction, and this rectangle is half the size. Go ahead and try the other two examples in your notes on your own. So you're going to do example 2 and example 4. If you get stuck, you can always go back to the folder under Schoology called your resource notebook, and you can find the full picture of the notes. Just make sure that you have everything written down that's written here, and good luck on your check for understanding.